Happy July the 4th weekend to y'all Americans. If you're not American, get out of here. No. No, I hope you have like a really good weekend. Had a good weekend for everybody out there, even if you're not into July the 4th festivities like I am, like almost blowing off my hand fireworks. But I will say that here's in the pipeline, and this is definitely going to be one of the last State of the Union things that I'm doing here. It's not really even State of the Union. It's more like just rambling on. But I am in the process of finishing editing the first video that's going to be released for this channel, so I'm really excited. And then also the haul from the Criterion flash sale, not flash sale, but the just a months long sale from Barnes & Noble is coming here. Long on the shipping though, for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like apparently it's not supposed to come until July the 12th. And that's the longest I've ever waited for that. So first world problems here, whenever I got the notification about a couple days ago. But hopefully, that doesn't take too long to get here. But anyway, so this is a video about the top Blu-rays that I would want. I would pay top dollar. I would not wait for a sale. I would pay for this instantly, right? So we'll just hop into it real quick because I don't have a lot of time. So 2 or 3 things I know about her, Jean-Luc Godard. So on a huge Godard kick. No, it's not because he died. I'm not on that bandwagon. I've always liked Jean-Luc Godard. Thank you very much. I just recently got Histoire du Cinema, and that is going to be an interesting watch. Not going to review it because intellectually I am in the shadow of Jean-Luc Godard. Like, don't get me wrong with that. Like, I am not as smart as him, man. And I think that that's what people kind of criticize him for, is that like, oh, he's a pretentious whatever. And I think that like, if you're pretentious, I would rather you be pretentious than just like be conventional, really. If you think about it, I mean, yeah, it can be kind of embarrassing or whatever like that, that, you think you're important than what you are, but at least you're trying. At least you have some ambition to you, But anyway, so like, this is going to be definitely one of the more, I am not going to review this again, but that's going to be interesting watch. Now, 2 or 3 things I know about her. Spoiler alert, I caught this on the flash sale. And not flash sale, damn it. It's the sale, the month-long sale. I keep on saying flash sale. It's not flash sale. But 2 or 3 things I know about her is one of the titles I got, and it's only on DVD. It is not on Blu-ray. It is not anywhere in the States for Blu-ray. And I love this movie. It's the movie that I think Jean-Luc Godard finally just said, you know what? I'm going to unpack everything. I'm just going to tell the world about what I think about this, about film thing or whatever. Almost like a preface to Histoire du Cinema, probably, even though I haven't watched it. Definitely a movie that is, in comparison to like his earlier output, is completely different, radically different, I think. And probably my favorite Jean-Luc Godard film. It's 2 or 3 things I know about her, because it's just so completely, not just different from his, but just a really big breath of fresh air. And it's very whispery French voice, which it can be lampooned. It would kind of get on someone's nerves, but I really enjoyed this film a lot. If you're new to Godard, I would not start with this. Not saying it's like big brained or anything, like but in comparison to like other films of his, I would go into like the one that I would actually recommend to people to watch is Par le Feu. That one is like the one that I'm like, okay, if you like this, you'll like most of Jean-Luc Godard stuff. If you don't, then, because I think Breathless is like kind of a bad way to start, because I think it's pretty much like not even a film. It's just like the start of something, and yeah, and it's completely important to cinema, jump cuts, all that stuff. But like, I think as like a film itself, I think Par le Feu is better. Anyway, I don't know why I'm making this point. What I'm saying is that, I don't know why this hasn't been released on Blu-ray. It was released by Gaumont, was it? Don't they have this, or Studio Canal? I don't know, but I think maybe in comparison to other Jean-Luc Godard titles, this is like probably way down the list as far as like actual, stuff, actual like stuff that people want from Godard is concerned. They probably just don't like this title for, obvious reasons. But I do think that like it's a shame that this hasn't come out on Blu-ray, and it looks beautiful as well on the on not on DVD but like on the Criterion channel where I watched it at. It didn't include the commentary for whatever reason, but yeah, definitely release this, whomever. Viridiana from Luis Buñuel. Cynical film, very cynical, even for Luis Buñuel. He's a very cynical filmmaker, just like Stanley Kubrick. But this movie is one of my favorites. This is probably tied, this and Belle de Jour as my favorite Luis Buñuel film. A like a very cynical, just critical evaluation of modern society, structures, just everything, religion, everything. It's very this took it to where like I think the Exterminating Angel tried to, but like didn't really work. Viridiana is where it really worked, and it was just a searing, just searing like bad taste movie, which is I guess great. But this is a really good film, and I would advise anyone to watch this if you're even starting out with Luis Manuel. I would watch this film. Now I am kind of cheating here. This is a Blu-ray, but no English subtitles, and it's French. It's French subtitles. So unless I want to take like a 5-year course in French, and if I wanted to like just transpose the subtitles, I could just watch the DVD instead. So and also maybe like I remember watching like some parts of this film, and some of the film I think was damaged. And that may be wrong, but I'm just trying to find a way as the reason why that this hasn't been released on Blu-ray, because I think a lot of them have been released. So anyway, definite watch on that. Another one is Werkmeister Harmonies by Bela Tarr, which this just recently got acquired by Janus Films for just for distributions like of just in theaters and such, which that is a sign that Criterion probably gets the rights to that and makes the 4K, which would be absolutely nuts if they did that for this film. Even though I'm kind of puzzled as to why that Werkmeister, I don't know how to say it specifically, but I don't know why this wasn't with Arbalos, because Arbalos did a great job with Damnation and Satan Tango. Especially Damnation is like reference level Blu-ray, like black and white. It's so good. that Blu-ray, it's like one of my favorite Blu-rays that I own in terms of like black and white image. But anyway, so this is probably going to come out on Criterion, at least one would think. And this is the only film that I have not watched from Bela Tarr. The only one. No, The Man from London. But as like far as major critical evaluation, popular, whatever, Werkmeister Harmonies is the only one I haven't watched, and that is going to hopefully change by either the end of the year or the beginning of next year. So, kind of on a sadder note here, Teo Angelopoulos. So kind of cheating. This isn't like one specific title. This is mainly just like the films of the filmmaker himself, which, unfortunately, because of his tragic passing, I think that the distribution rights wasn't even really talked about at that point, or, because ever since then, because he was making a film, when he passed away, and it has just been from everything that we know about, it's just been like a complete mess as far as like, the distribution of his films go, because it hasn't been distributed at all. And we don't know why. Not going to say people are going to forget the legacy of this guy because he doesn't have a thing, but it's just like, where can people go to see a Teo Angelopoulos film? You can't. You just can't unless you get like I think the region C or B like DVD that's like super outrageously expensive now. But it's just a very sad situation, because I don't think that the family was prepared for like the restoration of his films. I don't even think that was even mentioned around the time that he was making the film, of course. This guy should be celebrated for the master filmmaker that he was. I mean, just The Traveling Players alone is like a masterpiece. And, the other movies, Eternity in a Day, Ulysses' Gaze, I mean, that's great. But like, I've always thought to myself, like, this guy should just be considered one of the all-time great filmmakers. But not a lot of people are going to remember him. They'll remember Not to say that like, you know, any other of those filmmakers are like better or worse. I mean, you know, you give or take with, you know, with most directors, you know, but Teo Angelopoulos is a big take for me. And I just feel that I have to go on Internet Archive to watch a good copy of The Traveling Players, you know, and I just think that that's like completely crazy for a guy that like should be considered one of the great filmmakers of all time. And it's just like a very sad, you know, thing that his passing probably caused like the distribution of his films to like go under a certain thing, and even the restoration of his films apparently were like in pretty bad shape until recently. So here's hoping that they at least come out on Blu-ray, at least, or like even get distributed somewhere. I mean, even to DVD I wouldn't mind, really. It's just that sad of a situation. So but anyway, Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors, Sergei Parajanov made the masterful Color of Pomegranates, which is an incredible film. If you haven't watched that, go ahead. Some people like it, hate it. I love it. And it is a conventional story. I don't know why like people get off on saying, oh, you know, it's not a conventional whatever. It kind of is a linear narrative, right? But it's so direct that people kind of get like irritated by it, you know. And because of the directness and frankness of it, it's just, I think people kind of just get irritated by it. But anyway, Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors also has a really great looking transfer on YouTube right now as we speak. But I don't know about the Blu-ray and when that would come out. Maybe it's rights issues. I don't know specifically. I don't even know if it's with Mosfilm or not. I don't think it is. But definitely need to get that out on Blu-ray as soon as possible, please. Continuing the Ukrainian flavor here, Alexander Dovzhenko, which made the Earth, Arsenal, and Svengora trilogy. The whole, especially Arsenal, I think needs to be specifically mentioned, and a great film. All the silent images are completely arresting. There's images in the beginning. The first 5 minutes of that film is brutal, like brutal, like rough, and in a very powerful, meaningful way. I think that it's man, the first 5 minutes of that film are so good. It's really good. Anyway, so like I probably need to rewatch it. So I think all these are on YouTube. They're bad copies though, if I'm not mistaken. So like but yeah, these need to be put out on Blu-ray as soon as possible, or at least get the negative or something and just like put it out there, man. Give it to Flickr Alley or something. I don't know. Ivan the Terrible Part 2, Boyar's Plot. This also has a Blu-ray. It's also in French. You French people get everything. I hate you. No. Like look, Alexander Nevsky and Ivan the Terrible Part 1 are okay films. They're like, they both follow the whole like Russian propaganda model or whatever. Ivan the Terrible Part 2 is an infinitely more interesting film because of how crazy it is. It's a maddening film. It was intended to be that. Basically, this movie is a because Prokhorov's score, I think his last name is Prokhorov, I think, but the score like only heightens like just this sort of uneased madness about the whole entire movie, which he was trying to convey. It was almost like he was under the gun from the Soviets, because Stalin never truly respected him anyway. He always just thought that he was just some freak, right? So like eventually he just, you know, Eisenstein probably knew he did not have time left to live. You know, he eventually died, I think, a couple of years after the film was released. But he pretty much said, like, I refuse to make the same film for the third time. I'm going to make something that I want to make because the whole aspect of Stalin's terror and Ivan the Terrible's Oprichniki, they were going to be linked no matter what he did. It was going to be banned, in my opinion. And Eisenstein probably realized this and was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go out with it, you know, because I'm going to get censored for this anyway. I'm just going to make this film the way that I want to. And you know what? At least that's what I want to think of it, right? That he just said, I'm not going to make this boring ass film for like the third time. I'm going to make something completely different. And you know what, dude? This film is like an all-time classic, great film. And for the longest time, critics didn't understand it because they just thought this is so completely different from the first two films that like, why like, why is this happening? Why is this whole like subplot, like, what is this? I think that it's a wonderful film. Everybody should watch it. Of course, you have to watch. I think, yeah, of course, the first part you have to watch, but the second part is just it's a maddening film. It's supposed to be, and it's a classic. Watch this movie. Anyway, the reason why it's probably not distributed, I have no clue. I don't think people are asking for this film on Blu-ray as much as a lot of other people are, but I still think it is like a good way to start off with Eisenstein. I think this is like probably his best movie he ever made. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, moving on. Greed, 1924. So like in its truncated version, I'm one of those people that think The Foolish Wives is a better representation of what Stroheim really wanted to do. But Greed is still important in a sense that of the epic scope that von Stroheim was going for. He wanted to make it longer. He wanted to make it like a 12-hour film, right? And even like some people like understood his genius. They understood that like his artistry, whatever. They understood that like, you know, yeah, he's going for a lot here, but man, 6 hours is a long time to ask for anybody. People still bitch about like watching Satan Tango for 8 hours. So you're going to like, but really he was trying to make a serial. I think like there's some part in me that wants to go back and just tell von Stroheim, like, just split this up into a serial and people will actually watch this. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a cliffhanger every single episode, but it's just, and maybe it would just be a completely different film and just destroy it completely from what my idea was. But I kind of want to just take a time machine and just tell him, dude, if you want to just make this as long as you can, just like split it up into parts and people will watch it. And it's like you have to keep them like on their toes. And maybe it could have been a forerunner for like, you know, and serials were made like, you know, with Fantomas and, you know, the vampires or whatever like that back in France, and they were extremely popular at the time. So I don't understand like why von Stroheim just didn't do that. But anyway, so we have Greed, you know, great film, but like the reason why this may not be in circulation is because they did that restoration back in 1999 with TCM, and probably that included the distribution rights to the whole entire film as well, and that's probably what caused it to not be in Blu-ray. At least that's what my assumption is. So hopefully we'll get that sooner than later. I would assume that we would get this soon, especially with Foolish Wives coming out here from recently from Flicker Alley. But of course, Foolish Wives came out from Kino like 6 years previously. So what do I know? Freaks, 1932. Todd Browning's masterpiece. Hey, Todd Browning, you made Dracula. Todd Browning, you made like a bunch of great films with Lon Chaney and made us a bunch of money. Here, like carte blanche. Like, do like your, you know, freak story about like a side woman like marrying a little person and trying to steal his money and showing that like we are the animals, not the. It goes more than that, but like they. I just think the studio hated this film. They did not want it to go out for the longest time. The DVD came out. I think the transfer is like kind of shoddy, and that may be why that like the Blu-rays kind of be forgotten about. But then there's also points of like and then also the devils can be included in this as well, although I'm kind of probably lumping that in because it's two separate situations. But also mentioning the devils on here just from historical purposes, even though I don't enjoy the film. I do think that like it should be law that, you know, you should like have some sort of like physical, even though the Freaks does have that. I do think that, and I don't even know if Greed has a DVD release, does it? But anyway, like I just think that you should have a more updated release. I mean, it's 2023, people. You know, we're already into like another format with 4K, right? We're not into like, you know, we're just not in the DVD game anymore. Even though the DVDs outpace Blu-ray and 4K by a wide margin, I just don't think that you know, this hobby or what have you is just like it's really just preserving history, I think. And like history is, you know, once you get to the end of history, blah 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 blah, all that shit doesn't matter, right? You know, I do think that like all of these, you know, that I've collected over time was worth something, even though that like, you know, they cost me a lot of money, right? But it's still, you know, I have what could be considered like, you know, something that I could just take out and could reference and index and I think that like this hobby or whatever like that, and some of these films are just all-time greats. Like I would I would put I'm in the Terrible Part 2 because maybe I'm a sick freak, but I mean, I enjoy that movie. You could probably put Werkmeister, even though I haven't watched it, or, The Traveling Players or whatever. All of these are worth more of like a historical and enjoyable aspect to it, that it's just something to really, you enjoy the spectacle of it, of the film being shown, and right. And maybe like a part of that is sort of taken out because I think that films are supposed to be like a communal sense. You're supposed to watch it with other people. They directed it to that. And I think that like these films and really all these directors deserve some sort of credit is because like they direct like almost like many miracles, man, just doing all this stuff. And yeah, they have their own like desires and all the stuff that they imprint on the screen or whatever. But I think like a part of me feels that all these films deserve some sort of recognition for the miracle that they had done on the screen, and it will be forgotten because of either rights issues or people just don't give a shit. Either way, I mean, I do think that we do need to preserve as much as we absolutely can as film collectors, as anything else. I mean, we just need to like update it and really just really focus on that. And I think that that's why I really can't hate any labels. And I see a lot of people, oh, I hate the encoding, I hate this, or, it's not preserved a certain way or anything like that, which is understandable. It has its own like certain things, like the Dollars trilogy, for example, like had that, horrible transfer color thing or whatever. And I think that there is, something to criticize on that front. But just alone, the imprinting on a disc, or just the, that's why, like with other stuff, like just like burning, because I remember like, back then, like LimeWire, and like, just downloading these songs and like inputting this, it's almost like you preserved something, even though that like it's just a microcosm of like, what's out there. At least you're still preserving something in some way. Like this isn't junk. This is something that you can treasure at least for the rest of your life. And I think that that's what, keeps me going. And that's why I make these videos. It's just a passion I have for collecting, stuff, I guess. It's just that there's that aspect, It's not like Pokemon where I'm just like buying cards and selling them or whatever. This is a piece of history that people went to, they saw, they were interested in. And the ideas that are allowed to flow through these films are something that I really can't get from a book. Like, as much as I would like to like, read and understand, the images are so tied to and maybe that's what I'll get more from Histoire du Cinema, is that like maybe like the language of film is like an entire language itself. It's not just like I think film has taught me a lot, and then it's also like and it's also really and like what Orson Welles said, you can't allow yourself to be bathed in films, right? Like, and there's the I'm just rambling on at this point anyway, so I'm just gonna end this. So before I get like too contradictory here. So I appreciate your guys' support and watching this little tidbit video or whatever. At the end of the week, I should be able to have that video out, and it should be good. And then the sale haul will come in. This will be like one of the last ones that I do on that until probably the little one in October. But anyway, thank you guys for the support. Share, subscribe, whatever you do. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.